Jiddu Krishnamurti, who is regarded globally as one of the greatest thinkers of all time, is the most misunderstood personality in the world. In the eyes of some individuals, he is perceived as an atheist. In reality, he was against man-made belief system and rituals. He traveled throughout the world for nearly 60 years. Through his lectures, he reminded again and again that we are all human beings first. Krishnamurti spoke not as his guru but as a friend, and his talks and discussions are based on his own insights into the human mind. He had no permanent home. When he was in India, he stayed at Vasanta Vihar, Greenways Road, Chennai. In an attempt to explore the beauty of Vasanta Vihar and the teachings of J. Krishnamurti, we reached Vasanta Vihar just before dawn. We spent a whole day in Vasanta Vihar. We could meet some of the followers of Krishnamurti and gain insight into his profound teachings.
I mean by participate in it, not just think about it or casually pay attention to it, but rather together going to what the speaker is going to talk about presently. One or two things must be made very clear. This is not a personality cult. Right? The speaker is an abomination of all that. To worship somebody. Because everything he's saying is contradictory if you personally worship an individual. Or make something into him, into a god, into all the nonsense that goes on in the world.
You see, this Vasanta Vihar is the headquarters of the Krishnamurti Foundation India. It has got four main functions. One is the study center, editorial work, archives and library. So here, that is library, the study center, where the people can come and go through his teachings in a quiet atmosphere. Every month we conduct retreats. Every third Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-day retreat for people across India. They can register online on our website. That is J.Krishnamurti.in is the website. They can register their interest and to participate, and we conduct retreats. That is, and then on second middle Sunday we will conduct a half-a-day retreat for people in and around Chennai. That is the second part. Then editorial work. When it comes to editorial work, we have editor Mr. K. Krishnamurti, who has been involved in this for last 4 decades. He has put his life in this, and we bring out new books, published material, unpublished material. A lot of unpublished material is there. We are trying to bring out new books of Krishnamurti teachings. That is work it is done there. And also there is archives. Archives is containing all the old records of Krishnaji's talks, discussions, or anything written about him by media, by anybody also we keep in the archives. That is, the archives is important for us. Then we have a bookshop here in the corner. Bookshop essentially to sell Krishnaji books only to public. We have got nearly 80 titles of Krishnaji teachings, where many people come and buy the books here. So these are the functions of these 4 functions of Vasanta Vihar. We have also developed an application, an app on smartphones called Awakening of Intelligence, which also helps you to search based on your question, based on your theme, because when Krishnaji was alive, he was addressing audience based on the state of the mind of the person whom he is looking at. But today he is not there. We have to disseminate in the absence of Krishnaji. So unless we understand what the user or the newcomer is interested in, we will not be able to do justice to Krishnaji teaching. So we thought this app will provide that access, so they can put a question on any theme of their interest, like anger, jealousy, their interest, desires and all that. So whatever theme, there are many themes listed in the app. Today and yesterday or tomorrow, Krishnaji's teachings are of relevance universally and eternally, according to me. As long as human mind is there, working in this world, the way it is working, Krishnamurti teachings have always got the most contemporary, they are very modern, contemporary in the moment, if you look at it in the moment now. So I think Krishnamurti teachings will last forever.
I came across Krishnamurti's teachings around 3 years ago, and since then I have been reading his books and watching YouTube videos. And I have also been visiting this study center very often, and this time I am going to stay here for 5 days. And when I am here, I speak to the people. The dialogues with them help me to gain more insights on life, and it helps me when I go back to my daily routine. Previously, I used to have anxieties, fears, sorrow, pain. My approach to deal with them was to suppress or run away, escape from them through entertainment. But now I observe them from a space of freedom. And when I am here, I love to spend the time in nature. I am no longer struggling to control my emotions. I am just observing them, letting them flower and wither away. I would also like to tell you about the improvement in my relationships. The point which touched me the most is, Krishnamurti says, don't have image about another when you are in a relationship. So every morning I approach them afresh. Previously, when life has thrown situations at me, I used to deal with them with struggle and conflict. But now, after reading his books, a point inspired me, that is to observe the reality as it is without changing it, without imposing ideals on it. Now I deal with situations more efficiently with peacefulness. Now I am going to visit the study center. I have read the books, Think on These Things, Happy is the Man Who Is Nothing, What Are You Doing with Your Life, and more. These books are especially for youngsters. I was struggling to make career choices, and with this clarity I am facing life better. I also used to struggle to control thoughts, but now I just watch them as they come. With a quiet mind, I enjoy the peacefulness. I was born in an Orthodox family, so there was always this struggle whether to believe in God or not. I even used to do ceremonies and going to temples and even churches. But now, after reading Krishnamurti, I feel I am more free of the authority of the priest. And also traditionally in my family, we used to do a lot of rituals in the morning or in the evening, but now I spend time doing what I like to do.
If you ask me what is the function of the foundation, it is in the words of Krishnaji himself when he was asked, why you are leaving the foundation behind when you yourself have dissolved the Art of the Star in the East 1929. He said there are only 3 functions, that is being responsible for the schools, publication of his teachings, and legal. So only 3 functions, they are only functional bodies. He himself said they are not spiritual bodies. So our job is to maintain the Krishna intent of the foundations. So we have 6 schools in India today, you know all the 6 schools. One is the Rishi Valley School near Madanapalli, and we have Rajghat Besant School in Varanasi. We have the school in Chennai, and then we have Valley School in Bangalore. After these are the 4 schools which were set up during his lifetime, but we have set up 2 schools after he passed away. In 1995 we have started Sahyadri School in near Pune. Then we have started the Patashala near Vallipuram, Chengalpet district. So that was started in 2010. So we have totally 6 schools. Our job is to see the schools are run in the grounded in the teachings of Krishnaji. That is the function.
What implication does this have for education? In schools, for instance, children ask questions. Is it the role of the teacher to answer the questions, or is it the role of the teacher to help the student think about it, inquire about it, to observe all that is happening inside that student, that impatience, the need for an answer, the despondency, giving up, is all that part of education? And then also education means comparison. We compare one child with another, this child is better, that child is not as good. Is that the role of education? Is the purpose of education to compare one child with another, or is the purpose of education something completely different? To create opportunities for children to investigate, to think, to observe, to feel, to understand their feelings, to go in one direction, learn whatever they learn, to find some space for solitude. He says there must be space for solitude, there must be solitude. A child must experience solitude in our schools. Solitude means a place, a space where people are not telling you things all the time, they are not forcing you into something or the other, that there is space for you to commune with nature, to be one with nature, to listen to the bird. So he makes a very important statement about how it's important to be in contact with nature, to be in touch with it. Krishnamurti talks about all this, and in our schools we attempt to create an atmosphere where the child can come into contact with the deeper questions of life, with the immediate questions of life. The child can understand how he or she is being influenced and discover some space to go beyond that, also in the lap of a very beautiful physical environment where nature is in all its glory visible to the child, and the child can breathe the air of this space. He has spoken a lot about freedom, but I think probably that is an area which is quite misunderstood. It is easy to say that freedom is freedom to do whatever one wants, but freedom, he has spoken about it parallel with the responsibility. He has spoken about freedom as the freedom to observe things as they are, where nobody is telling you what you should be doing, how you should be seeing it, how you should be interpreting it. Now, in our world, in human society, we don't know how to live like this, and there is an opportunity in Krishnamurti's teachings to bring up these questions again. Many of these questions are timeless, and they are also in the context of our times. For instance, our schools run in various states, they have to comply with the various laws, we don't have infinite freedom. And he also said each school must work out its own approach. He did not say that all schools must be identical to each other. No, this is a profound statement that he made. So each school in its geography, in its location, has to try and figure out how to do this education, and that's a very beautiful legacy he has left behind.
Jiddu Krishnamurti was born on 11th May 1895 in Madanapalli, a small town in South India. He and his brother were adopted in their youth by Dr. Annie Besant, then president of Theosophical Society. Krishnamurti was walking on the beach as a boy of only 14 when he was noticed by C.W. Leadbeater, a clairvoyant, who later said he was startled by the fact that the boy's aura revealed a completely selfless human being, a most rare phenomenon. Dr. Besant and others proclaimed that Krishnamurti was to be a world teacher. In 1909, a worldwide organization called the Order of the Star in the East was formed and the young Krishnamurti was made its head. Krishnamurti dissolved the organization in 1929 and returned all the money and property that had been donated for this work. He went on to develop his own thoughts based on self-discovery, freedom and the importance of questioning the authority. For nearly 60 years, he traveled throughout the world talking to large audiences and to individuals about the need for a radical change in mankind. Despite his old age, he continued his lectures and meetings till he breathed his last on 17th February 1986.
I got interested in J. Krishnamurti about 2-3 years ago when I started reading his books. I found those books quite interesting. They talk about various subjects, and it's about life, understanding what's the essence of life. And those questions had been with me for some time, and I wanted those answers. So mostly we go to people who give quick answers. With J. Krishnamurti, it's not so simple. He doesn't give quick answers to any of your questions. Rather, the number of questions keep increasing. So I read quite a few of his books, starting with Freedom from the Unknown, Freedom from the Known, and First and Last Freedom, were some of the first books I read, and On Fear was another book that I read. So these books were quite interesting. I wanted to understand fear. That's when I started reading On Fear. So this On Fear book, it talks about some of the very essence of fear. So fear arises because we hold on to certain beliefs, certain ideals, or certain people. And when those ideals or people or beliefs or whatever that we hold on to no longer exist, or we question those beliefs, fear arises. So the essence of not being without fear is to not have any of those beliefs, not to have any of those security with which onto which we hold on to. So the questions that J. Krishnamurti arises in these books are quite interesting, and that's when I got very interested in this.
See, I came in contact with Krishnamurti through another mystic, which some people know with the name of Osho, some people call him Rajneesh, some people call him as Bhagwan. So, Krishnamurti was the only one person which was mentioned in his literature with such reverence that he never mentioned any other person with. So, I was intrigued that who is this Krishnamurti? So then I started reading Krishnamurti. Initially I found it very difficult because Krishnamurti talks, to understand Krishnamurti you need to read him for quite some time, you need to have a good grounding of psychology and to some extent other spiritual literature also, that is maybe some spiritual books or some philosophy texts and all that. What I learned from Krishnamurti and what it helped me in my life is, there is one thing which I was struggling for quite some time, and that quote was, "The observer is the observed." And it took me almost like 3 to 4 years to understand what that one term means. But this one term the observer is the observed, is the gist of the Krishnamurti's teaching. What Krishnamurti meant by observer is that whoever is the observer, whenever something is observed, the observer is nothing but the conditioning. Because when you are observing with something with one particular conditioning, then you will observe it as per your conditioning, not as per the thing actually is. So, the meaning of observer is the observed is the observer, or observer is the observed, is whatever you are observing, you are not observing the thing as it actually is. You are observing it as per your conditioning, as per your background. And the conditioning is because of so many things, because of the physical manifestation, because of what you have read, where you have grown up. And this is one thing which has a profound impact on me, on Krishnamurti. Today also, when if somebody has to ask me, who do you follow? I generally say I don't follow anybody, but if somebody asks me, who do you love? So I say Osho and Krishnamurti, both are my love. And if somebody says who is better, if you have to give them marks 1 or 2, I said no. Both are great in their own respect, and for me both are important, because I cannot understand one without the other. And if some readers, they want to understand Krishnamurti in a better manner, there are some books. First, I can suggest that is First and the Last Freedom of Krishnamurti, and the other one is, it's not actually one book, it's a collection of various of his speeches, but dealing with one particular theme, topic, that is, what are you doing with your life? So I suggest anybody and everybody to go through that book to have a very good perspective on life. Rather than asking questions to others, any guru or whoever, read that book, understand it, and come back to these Krishnamurti books and Osho books are not books that you read it once. You read it, then you keep it aside, and then after some time you come back to it again, because over a period of time you would have gained something, a new perspective, and when you again read the book with that new perspective, you will understand something more. So as we Hindus, we don't read Gita, we do part of Gita. Part is we read the same Gita over and over again, and the reason being is we are changing every day, our experience is different every day, we are learning something new every day, and with that knowledge, when we go to Gita, we understand something. So is the case with Krishnamurti's books.
My acquaintance, so-called, with the great Uttama Purusha J. Krishnamurti is like this. See, I've been working for a company in Middle East, UAE. So I've been coming back and forth to India for the business purpose. In 2004, it happened to me like I just bought a book on self-knowledge written by J. Krishnamurti. And I started reading the book. It gave me a jolt of my life to look at myself, to look at how I've been a very religious person and doing a lot of pujas and things like that. The basic question he was telling was, are you trading with God? This question really shook me off and started questioning each and everything of my desires and also my thoughts, which are all sprouting for making money. Then each and every thought has become a conflict for me, and I started inquiring on the basis of Jiddu Krishnamurti's self-knowledge teachings. To understand oneself is the most important factor in life which I could understand in the last 20 years of my reading with J. Krishnamurti and inquiry of each and every thought. I shifted my family immediately in the year 2005 and put my children in their school, and they all studied in J. Krishnamurti school. I had a great trust in that Uttama Purusha J. Krishnamurti. It gave me an immense confidence when I apply his teachings to my life. Whatever the conflict arises, immediately I go and read a book, and the dialogue gives me an answer and gives me a clarity. So a constant inquiry into my inward journey is my life today. Just 5 years back, I retired and only doing inquiry on J. Krishnamurti's teachings.
I am part of the dissemination and publications group. I've been part of the KFI for now since 2012. My role is largely disseminating the teachings. But I think it's interesting just to tell you a little bit about my background as to how I came into Krishnamurti. Many years ago, I was working for another organization, and I was actually talking to my boss about how we are out of step with nature. And the next day, my boss gives me a book and says, "This is Krishna, read this." And it was a penguin reader. And I went through it, and I was very taken in by the last chapter, which talked about breaking of the order of the star in the east. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So I read the chapter, and I was hooked. Prior to Krishnamurti, I was fully into science. And I had read, name it, and I had read, whether it's Stephen Gould, Carl Sagan, all these people I had read. But there was something that was not complete. And there's always a dissatisfaction, something that's not right. My answers were always outward. But here, when I got in touch with Krishnamurti, suddenly he turned inwards. And here was something, here were teachings that were actually for the first time talking about me and someone else talking about me and my life in a way that I could understand. Because he talked about relationship, and he talked about love, and he talked about loneliness. So, and it's something that was always something I never ever encountered. And like I said, I was hooked. And that's began my journey with reading Krishnamurti, and kept one to another to another. And what fascinated me about Krishnamurti was here were the teachings that never talked about any wisdom, any gyan. It never referred to religion, it never referred to tradition. It didn't say what you should do, what you shouldn't do. But yet, it actually showed me my daily life. Then the other thing that was very interesting was relationships. We are all the time in relationships. But I have found not only my relationships, but everywhere around, no relationship ever lasted in a happy state. You began well, but it always started going down. And I was wondering why. And all of the West especially says, no, you need to have marriage counseling, or you need to have some kind of counseling to get people together. But the teaching showed completely something differently, which is, why do relationships start coming down? Why do relationships sour? And it's really lovely to go through it, which is that as we start dealing with each other, we actually start creating an image of the other. And from that image, now I see you. So, for example, if I am talking to somebody and somebody praises me, next time I go to that person, I go with that idea that that person has praised me. So, I go with an image of that person. Oh, he's a nice guy, he's a nice person. But if somebody says you're a fool, so I have recorded it. And the next time I have that relationship, I go with the idea that you're a fool. So, I am now dealing with an image, one image to another image. And similarly, the other person is also dealing with an image. So never are we ever dealing really, only two images dealing. No, that was a big revelation. I never seen it before. So those were some of the things that really touched me. Now, how do these work today in today's world and the work where I work is that most people are in this, I am like any other human being, and any other human being goes through exactly the same issues. They have issues of ambition, they have issues of struggle, they want more money, they must have security. We all share that. And so the teachings actually are not giving any wisdom or gyan. They are actually showing you who you are. And the very act of actually seeing those teachings, going through it, is a mirror to who you are. And the good part is that we never talk Krishnamurti, we talk about our lives. Many people talk about that Krishnamurti is difficult to understand. It's not difficult to understand, but we don't make the effort to understand, because the teachings are now asking you that now you look at yourself, and it's asking you to look at yourself in a way not to get better, but all of who you are, all the bad, all the good, everything that is there, look at the way you are, not with any kind of either image that you have of yourself or of what the world thinks of you, but the way you are, because we all have a very good image of ourselves, and what the teachings do is challenge that image. That's why it seems that it is difficult, but as you start going through that, it's not only not difficult, you'll realize that, my God, I never ever looked at life the way, in this manner.
Krishnamurti left a large body of literature in the form of public talks, writings, discussions, conversation with individuals. Jiddu Krishnamurti's legacy lives on through his books, speeches, and the individuals who continue to be inspired by his teachings. His teachings, besides being relevant to the modern age, is timeless and universal. But his teachings often contradict our belief system. When we are not ready to accept the fact that our beliefs are wrong, we often resort to misinterpret the meanings of Krishnamurti's teachings. A feeling of peace will engulf us when we stop misinterpreting his teachings and accept that his thoughts always give new meaning and direction to mankind's search for truth. Thanks, viewers, for joining us on this journey into the world of Jiddu Krishnamurti.